The heroes sat in tense silence, the weight of the moment pressing down on them. Yet all around, the chamber stirred with movement. Small groups descended the twin stairwells flanking the room, their arms burdened with supplies. None spared so much as a glance toward the dais, their eyes fixed ahead, as blind to the Fellowship's presence as the Fellowship had once been to the dais itself. Most moved in clusters that seemed to be families, their faces etched with emotion, fear, anger, and quiet resolve. It was no ordinary retreat. This was an exodus. The fortress was being emptied. Tommy's sharp gaze swept over the Fellowship, lingering briefly on Frank's sword and Tyrone's hammer.
Well, I'll tell you all this right now. If you reckon you're fixin' to be any help in a fight, you best make sure you're properly kitted out.
Dutch shifted uncomfortably before admitting he had no weapon. Moira spoke up next, her voice calm but resolute.
I've sworn a pact of non-violence, but that doesn't mean I'll be standing idly by. My lunar magic's strong enough to heal wounds and shield us when the fight gets thick. I'll be there to keep us on our feet no matter what comes our way.
Sierra rose from the love seat she shared with Terrence, her movement smooth and deliberate. Without a word, she beckoned the Fellowship to follow and strode deeper into the chamber, her steps echoing in the heavy stillness. Gil trailed behind them, his voice filling the heavy silence as they followed Sierra deeper into the chamber.
We're heading to the Queen Mother's armory. She saw this coming, reckon she always does. Figured Dutch here would need something sharp, and Moira, well, she accounted for that pact of non-violence too. She made sure there's gear waiting that'll suit both of you. Tools for protecting yourselves and your fellows without breaking any oaths.
The Fellowship pressed on, their steps echoing through the vast chamber as the promise of what lay ahead pulled them forward. At the far end of the chamber stood a massive, intricate door, etched with swirling patterns of arcane runes. Light pulsed along its surface, rippling like water before concentrating at its center. Suddenly, beams of energy lanced out, scanning each member of the Fellowship in turn. The air grew thick with magic as the light lingered on them, probing yet somehow impersonal, as though the door itself weighed their worth. Then with a low hum, the runes flared one final time. The door slid upward, revealing the hidden bounty within, an arsenal of 6 clearly magical artifacts gleaming under the soft glow of enchanted lanterns. The chamber's glow dimmed as the Fellowship stepped inside, their eyes adjusting to the soft, otherworldly light that radiated from the treasures within. Sierra moved ahead, gesturing toward the array of weapons and artifacts displayed on pedestals and shelves. First, a crystalline goblet rested on a pedestal carved with intricate vines. Its green glow pulsed gently, the misty liquid inside swirling as though alive. Indigo's goblet of renewal. It hummed faintly, filling the air with an undeniable sense of peace. Even standing near it, Moira felt a subtle wave of calm wash over her. Sierra spoke as she ran a finger along its rim.
This one restores what's broken. Body, spirit, maybe even hope. Just don't waste a drop.
Nearby, a golden harp gleamed beneath a soft beam of light. Jasmine's harp of harmony and discord. Its strings vibrated faintly, though no hand touched them, and the sound sent shivers down Moira's spine. Sierra tilted her head toward it.
Play it right, and you'll lift hearts. Play it wrong, and you might shatter them. It listens, but it doesn't always obey.
Hanging from a polished silver hook was a cloak unlike any Moira had seen. Its fabric shifted colors as if alive, rippling even without a breeze. Elle's cloak of whirling wonder. Sierra smirked.
Careful with this one. It's opinionated. It'll protect you, but only if it feels like it.
Moira swore she heard a faint whisper echoing from the cloak, almost as if it had overheard them. Set apart on a raised platform, a weathered scroll bound with golden thread rested in a glass case. The scroll of the wolf dream. The symbols on its surface glowed faintly, pulsing in time with the quiet hum of the chamber. Gil's voice rang out, almost reverently.
This one's old, older than any of us by thousands of years. Open it, and you'll see things others can't. Just be ready. You might not like what it shows you.
On a nearby rack, a massive bastard sword caught Dutch's eye. Its blade was split down the middle. One side gleamed with holy light, the other pulsed darkly as though alive with corrupted magic. Apropos fury. It seemed to hum with barely restrained energy, vibrating slightly as he stepped closer.
Balanced and deadly, for those who can handle both the light and the dark. But make no mistake, it'll test you.
Finally, at the end of the display, a match set of a sword and shield stood in regal splendor. The pride of Bridge 4. Forged of silver and gold, they shone like stars, their edges sharp enough to cleave through shadow and steel alike. Gil rested his hand lightly on the shield.
They were made to honor the fallen, built to protect and to strike back when protection fails. If you take them up, you carry more than steel. You carry their memory.
The fellowship stood in silence, their eyes lingering on the weapons as the weight of choice pressed down on two of them. Each piece told a story. Each promised power, but also responsibility. Moira's eyes never left the goblet. While the others examined blades and artifacts alike, she stood still, transfixed by the soft green glow. When Sierra paused, Moira stepped forward and gently lifted the goblet, her fingers brushing its cool surface. The mist inside stirred, swirling in response.
This isn't just enough, it's everything I need.
Dutch stepped closer as well, the glow of Moira's chosen goblet reflecting in his eyes. He exhaled sharply, breaking the stillness.
Well, looks like we won't be marching into battle looking completely helpless. Unless Moira plans to fend off enemies with kindness and glowing moonbeams. As for me, I'll take something that doesn't come with an attitude problem. I draw the line at taking orders from fabric.
Dutch's eyes drifted over the weapons until they stilled on the pride of Bridge 4, gleaming with true heroism. He stepped closer, running a hand over the polished metal. He lifted the blade, testing its weight with a few thrusts. Then he grabbed the shield, strapping it to his arm with a grin.
Well, if I'm charging into danger, I might as well look like I know what I'm doing. And hey, if all else fails, at least I'll have something shiny to hide behind.
Frank rested a hand on Cricket's hilt, letting the blade hang easy at his side. He gave the others a quick nod before drawing it, the steel catching the light with an almost unnatural shimmer.
We're definitely not helpless. This is Cricket, he said, holding it up and turning it so they could see the faint engravings along the blade. She's picky, only works on demon spawn, or people who believe in magic, like really believe. He tilted the blade, and for a second it almost seemed to hum. Lights up green if demons are nearby, exactly 1,692 feet. Not that I measured or anything. Basically, if it glows, we've got problems. And against demons, she cuts deep, real deep, makes them bleed, and the bleeding doesn't stop anytime soon. So yeah, Cricket's not subtle, but she gets the job done.
Tyrone lifted his massive hammer, spinning it once like it weighed nothing, his face flashing a cocky grin.
Yo, check this out. Looks heavy, right? That's 'cause it is. 10,000 pounds of pure destruction. But for me, feels like I'm holding a baseball bat. He rested it on his shoulder, the metal humming faintly. When I hit, forget about it. Bones break, people drop. Most of them don't even get back up. And here's the best part. I can throw this bad boy once per battle. Doesn't matter how fast they run or where they hide. It'll find them. Heat-seeking, one shot, boom. He snapped his fingers. And when it's done, Tyrone twirled the hammer and caught it with a grin. It comes right back, like a loyal dog, only meaner.
Tommy and Terrence strolled up as Tyrone spun his massive hammer like it weighed nothing, and Frank slid Cricket back into its sheath with a satisfied smirk. Tommy whistled low, his North Carolina drawl cutting through the room.
Boy, y'all ain't playing around. Hammer that size and a sword that bleeds demons feels like we walked into the armory of some goddamn legends. Reckon that hammer could knock down a barn, and the sword'd make sure nothing crawled out after.
Terence grinned, giving a slow, appreciative nod as his eyes lingered on the glowing runes and polished steel. When he spoke, his tone was calm but impressed.
Not bad. Not bad at all. But now it's time to figure out the real fight. Indigo's counting on us to protect that orb, because if we lose it, the whole plan's shot. So what's it gonna be? Who do you choose to stay back with you to hold the line?
Tyrone didn't hesitate. He rested his hammer on his shoulder and nodded toward Tommy.
I don't know, man. Feels like Tommy'd fit better with what we're bringing to the table. We're already stacked for heavy hitters, and he's got that no-nonsense vibe we'll need up front.
Frank and Moira exchanged a quick look, then glanced at Gil, Tommy, and Sierra before stepping aside to whisper. Dutch lingered near the back, his eyes drifting toward Gil, but his mouth staying firmly shut. His body language made it clear he had a preference, but not one he was willing to fight for. Frank finally turned back, his voice steady.
Nah, Tyrone. It's gotta be Sierra. She's got range, support magic, and a sharp eye. We can hit harder if she's keeping us covered, and you know it.
Aye, and we'll need someone who can help hold the line without having to get in the thick of it. Sierra's the smartest choice.
Tyrone looked at them both, then at Sierra, and shrugged, clearly convinced by the duo's points. Dutch flashed Sierra a cheeky thumbs up, grinning.
Guess we're taking my ex into battle. No pressure or nothing.
Sierra rolled her eyes, but smirked as she stepped forward, already loosening her shoulders as if preparing for the challenge ahead.